On this week's show, there are only 4 undefeated teams left in major college football. And is Eli Manning in trouble over a hand gesture he made back on Monday Night Football a few weeks ago?
In this week's history lesson, we tell the story of 2 football teams and a car that are all using the same logo.
A car?
A car.
That and much more this week in the world of football.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 222 for November 9th, 2021. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
Is it just me, or has daylight savings time kicked anybody else in the butt?
Oh, man, it is ruining everything. The dogs don't know what time it is.
I don't know what time
They're used to eating at a certain time.
I'm used to eating at a certain time.
It's darker than heck right now. You know, same time we normally
a
record,
little
and all
later
of a
than
sudden
we normally do.
Well, but still, it's almost pitch black outside.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's a tough adjustment. I'm envious of those states that don't have to participate in such a thing.
Yeah, I know Arizona's one.
That's probably the only one.
Well, I think there might be another one or two. I'm not
But still,
sure.
Can we just all agree that daylight savings time is old
leave
and
it
antiquated?
alone.
We don't need it anymore.
Leave it alone. We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. From the NFL to the CFL to the XFL, college, high school, indoor, and arena football, we inform and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show, as well as other selected videos. So, let's review what happened this past week, and we begin with the World of Football scoreboard.
Yes, we will begin there, but I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
As we get going here. It was the Lions bye week, as we know, so we won't be talking the Lions at all for a week. Thank
goodness.
God. But my question to you is, how much football did you watch while you're on bye week?
Hardly any at all.
Yeah, isn't it? Are we the only ones? Like, if your team is on bye, do you just, unless you're like probably like it's super into fantasy football and watching everything.
Football,
but hold
fantasy
on.
Football.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, in general though, how much football do you watch on a bye week? Because like for me, it was all like you said, almost non-existent.
Yeah.
I've seen some highlights, and I watched a little college football on Saturday, maybe, but nothing too crazy. Like, I think I've been so burnt out from the Lions season so far.
We
I
needed
was like,
a complete
I needed
break.
a day. I needed a couple days to just. I don't need football right now, which is weird since we run a football podcast. So I just want to be upfront about that as we go into these scores, because I didn't watch a lot of football. Like I said, Thursday night, especially for this Thursday night game, we went to the movies. We didn't watch Thursday night football. We went to the movies.
Yep.
So,
I watched a little of the Sunday night game and a little bit of last night's Monday game, but I think I fell asleep during both of them.
yeah.
Got up,
And you
turned
fell
off
asleep
TV,
during the
went to
movie,
bed.
too, so what's new?
I did not.
You said you fell asleep during the
I
first
did
half
not.
hour of the movie.
I got very drowsy, but I did not fall
Well,
asleep.
the gentleman sitting on my left, who that was not part of our party, did fall asleep through the movie. So there's that. And let's kick things off. Thursday night football, like we were talking about. The Indianapolis Colts defeated the New York Jets 45-30. Indianapolis had 532 total yards, which is their most, or the most, since Week 13 of 2004. So they just laid it on. All I remember or heard from this game is that that Mike White, the backup quarterback for the Jets that was making headway last week, got hurt during the game. I believe his name is Mike White.
Yes.
But he got hurt, and then I guess the Jets were still able to hang up 30 points without him. So there you go. The Colts back on the winning track, 4-5 for the Colts. So, yeah, I guess no comment from you either.
No, I didn't see any football.
I don't know. I guess we're going to just fly through these scores.
Yeah.
And I won't even try.
That's why they call it the scoreboard, not the discussion board.
The Atlanta Falcons defeated the New Orleans Saints 27-25 on a last-second field goal as time expired. 29-yard field goal by Younghoe Koo. So good for him. Good for the Falcons getting back on the win column. They're at 4-4, while the Saints fall to 5-3. The Denver Broncos shocked the Dallas Cowboys 30-16. Denver has now won 7 straight games against the Cowboys.
I did not see that one coming.
No, we didn't.
I thought Dallas would take care of their business in that game, but wow, but Denver has surprised me a couple times this season.
Well, they started off hot. They started off 3-0. Then they've cooled off. They've won a couple of good games recently, so who knows where they're at. But the Cowboys, let's make a quick note that they wore for the first time since 1970.
Oh yeah, 76.
Red, white, and blue stripe on their helmet, which I thought was odd.
Yeah.
I remember seeing either pictures or like animated renderings of that helmet back in the day. I was like, why would they wear a red stripe? Like, I thought it was bizarre.
It was the bicentennial, and they wore them all season long. In 1976, Roger Staubach was the quarterback at the time. It was such a cool look. You know, they called him Captain America, and it's the bicentennial of the country, and he's wearing a red, white, and blue stripe on his helmet. It was awesome back then.
What was the reasoning for doing it this week? It was
I don't know.
Something with the military. I feel bad for not knowing.
Oh, well, this was like Military Appreciation Week. Everybody...
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, everybody on the sidelines was wearing camouflage.
I'm surprised they haven't done this in recent years then. Like, why?
They have. They've worn camouflage
not since 76. This is the first time since 76.
I thought we were still talking about the camouflage.
No, I'm talking about the stripe.
Oh, yeah. They've never worn it since. But that was a good look.
That's what I'm saying. Why have they not done this in recent years?
No.
So I'm hoping they bring that. I hope that's a new tradition. Bring it back.
Yeah, for Veterans
Day. The
Veterans
one
Week.
thing the Cowboys can do that I will approve of, other than if they finally get rid of Jerry Jones, but that's another.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, stumbling over my words. You know who didn't stumble? The New England Patriots, as they beat the Carolina Panthers 24-6. New England now has won 4 of their last 5 games after starting the season 1-3. So, Bill Belichick over there getting that team figured out. We'll see. The Minnesota Vikings fell in overtime to the Baltimore Ravens, 34-31. Another game-winning kick by Mr. Tucker himself. I could give 2 craps about this guy now, especially after he beat us. But I mean,
I did see a little bit of the end of this game. And,
it was crazy.
They were working their way down the field, and they kept talking about him doing another 66-yard field goal or whatever to win the game, and they kept saying he's never missed a field goal in regulation or in overtime this year. He was like
him being Justin
16
Tucker,
and 0, 16 and 0 on field goals. And I thought, well, there you go. They're going to jinx him, and he's going to miss us, and he came through.
And then Baltimore has also won 12 straight games against NFC opponents. So that's pretty good.
Yep.
As I tap on something on my phone. Okay, we're good. Okay. It was like clicking a highlight from the game. I was like, I don't want to watch highlights right now. We're going through the scores. Yeah. Another game. How about this? The Browns decimated the Bengals.
That was
41-16. Baker Mayfield, the second most quarterback wins, 27 in his first 4 seasons in Browns history. A stat that is not really a stat, everybody. Just want to throw that out there. Quarterback wins is not a stat that we should keep track of.
Well, I guess. But, yeah, I did not think that Cleveland would beat them so handily. I thought this was going to be a close game.
Just 2 weeks ago, the Bengals were the number 1 seed in the AFC. Now here they are. They lost 2 straight and look like they aren't that team anymore. So I don't know what's up. And then for the Browns, let's, I guess, quickly mention Odell Beckham Jr. getting his release. That was a big story this week.
He didn't play in that game, did he?
Didn't play in it.
Okay, and then he got released a day or so
later. He got released yesterday, went on waivers. I guess he cleared waivers today, and nobody picked him up. So he is officially a free agent for the first time in his career right now. So who knows? At any minute, we could get breaking news about a team actually signing him, which I think, why would anybody sign him if he just went through all of waivers and nobody picked him up? Unless it's a contract or I don't know how all the money part's going to work with, because I guess he worked out some sort of settlement with Cleveland, right? To get him to get to the waiver, whatever. But
well, he's probably at SoFi Stadium right now, banging on the door, saying, "Let me in. I want a part of this team."
Yeah, okay, we'll get to them in a minute.
But, even though they didn't look too good this week.
But I mean, the Browns looking great without OBJ, so maybe that was the problem. Yep.
I think he may be good on the field, but I think in the locker room
he's a fantastic player. But yeah, he is a cancerous personality, and I'm not saying he can't be a non-cancerous personality, but I'm just, come on, dude, you gotta. It's a team game, and you're a little too. I hate wide receiver divas. That's why we got spoiled with Calvin Johnson not being a diva. Yeah. How about this shocker? The Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Buffalo Bills 9-6.
Yeah, that I was totally shocked at. Our picks were in the toilet this week. I'm just going to say that right up front.
Oh, yeah.
And this was one of them that I thought was a no-brainer.
Yeah, go check out our Thursday pick video. I'm sure we'll be, which we're recording right after this, but you'll see that Thursday. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I could not believe that.
I don't even know the results, and I know that it was bad.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it here for me. But, yeah, Trevor Lawrence is the second rookie quarterback to defeat Buffalo in the Sean McDermott era, the other being Sam Darnold when he was with the Jets. So, man, that Bills team, what's happened to the Bills? Now they're 5-3. How do you lose to the Jaguars? They were a juggernaut just not that long ago. They're hanging up, tons of points, not letting anybody score. Now all of a sudden the Jaguars best you in a field goal battle.
Were they maybe looking past the Jaguars?
Who knows? That you never do that in the NFL.
Yeah, you can't do that.
All right, moving on. The Miami Dolphins beat the Texans 17-9. Houston has now lost 8 straight games, which is the longest single-season streak since 2013. So, yep. The New York Giants upset the Raiders 23-16. New York has now won 4 of their last 5 games against the Raiders. The Los Angeles Chargers squeaked out a win over the Eagles 27-24. DeAndre Hopkins. The Chargers had a go-ahead 29-yard field goal with 2 seconds remaining in the game to take that one. Moving on, Aaron Rodgers did not play for the Packers like we suspected this week. So as of last week, what a whole different football world we live in. In just a matter of 1 week.
Yep.
I guess we'll quickly recap. Aaron Rodgers apparently was not vaccinated, and he first contracted COVID. So everybody's like, oh, he's on the COVID list. That's weird. Find out he wasn't vaccinated. Then you find out, there's video of him saying he's been immunized, but he never actually said. It's been a whole whirlwind. If you even care, you followed the story. We don't need to recap everything.
Yeah, there was a lot of people. I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar came out and really blasted
Everybody
him.
was ripping him.
A lot of celebrities and sports figures are.
We're just gonna.
Badmouth
all
him.
we're gonna say is, I'm not gonna knock him too much, but at the same time, dude did what he thought he needed to do, whatever. But I won't say he blatantly lied about it, but the fact that the way he knowingly sidestepped it, which I get you don't want
the way he misled everybody.
But I get you don't want to be that distraction by saying, just the wrong thing. So you just say, look, I've been immunized. Let's move on. Let's talk about football. I get it, but at the same time, little honesty goes a long way.
Yes, but by deceiving people, then he didn't have to follow the protocols of a person that supposedly was not vaccinated.
True. I'm not saying he's perfect because he's Aaron Rodgers and we hate his guts anyway.
He's not.
But anyway, so
I'm thinking suspension for the rest of the season and a big fine for the Packers. That's just my own opinion.
You're unbiased
as a Lions fan who does not like the Packers.
But a stat that I did.
No penalty is too much.
Okay, well, real quick before I get to this interesting stat. So without Aaron Rodgers, that means Jordan Love got the start.
Right.
And by the way, not a fan of how his mom and girlfriend got treated at that game. Not that they were treated poorly, but just why do they get the seats way at the top of Arrowhead Stadium where you could turn around and look at the parking lot from where they were sitting? How does that happen? First off. Second of all, the Chiefs won 13-7. So Kansas City 4-0 against NFC teams this season. They are 1-4 against AFC teams. Very odd. But yeah, so the game happened. Whatever. Chiefs got back in the winning column. But then how about this? Without Aaron Rodgers, the Packers have a lower points per game average than the 0-16 Cleveland Browns from 2018, whatever that was, and the 2008 Detroit Lions, which were 0-16. So without Aaron Rodgers, the Packers score less points per game than the 2 worst teams of all time.
How many games has he actually missed in his career since he became the starter? I can't think of
at
too
least
many.
Enough to get an average like that. It was like 12 points a game they score or something. But I thought that was fascinating. So without Aaron Rodgers, we found a worse team than the Lions, and it's the Packers. Moving on, the Arizona Cardinals, without Kyler Murray and without DeAndre Hopkins, somehow managed to hang up 31 points against the San Francisco 49ers, winning 31-17. Arizona's 30-plus points in each of their 5 road games this season is insane. On the road, you scored 30 points or more 5 times? That's crazy to me. Okay, clearly nothing else to say about that.
No.
The Tennessee Titans went into SoFi Stadium and punched Matthew Stafford straight in the mouth, defeating the Rams 28-16. The Tennessee defense had 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, and a touchdown. boy, oh boy, did Matthew Stafford look like the same old Matthew Stafford we sometimes saw here in Detroit.
Yeah, he had 2 interceptions early in the game, and they both led to touchdowns. One was returned for a touchdown. The other one, he was trying to throw it out of the end zone, to
one of the worst interceptions
10 or
you'll see.
15-yard line and right to another player. And he didn't score, but they got the ball, inside the 5 and scored it right after that. So, yeah. Without those 2 touchdowns, it's a whole different game. But yeah, their defense really had the Rams' offense figured out, and boy, they made it difficult.
And how about that Tennessee
Stafford
Titans
Rams.
team? 7-2 now. They look like they're in the driver's seat of the AFC now. We thought it was the Bills. We thought it would. First it was the Chiefs, then it was the Bills, then it was the Bengals for a second. But how about this? The Titans have beaten every good team pretty much. I think I saw they definitely beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bills, we remember, a few weeks back, and they've gotten a couple of the big wins along the way now. Could the Titans be the front runner now?
I don't know.
I mean, this league's been crazy anyway. It's up and down every week. Contender one week is one of the worst looking teams the next. So we'll see what happens.
Well, next week I think it's going to be the is that next week 9, or was this week 9?
This was week 9.
Okay, so this is the halfway point in the season then.
Yep, and then at the end of the week, of course, last night we had the Bears-Steelers game, which ended with a field goal to send the Steelers to victory 29-27. How about this? Najee Harris, rookie running back for the Steelers there, is the first Pittsburgh rookie running back with 1+ touchdown in 5 straight games since... hold on, I'll give you a hint.
2015.
You got to go way back. I'm talking decades back.
1972.
Holy crap, you got it. Since 1972. We're not even making that
total
up.
guess. Who was that? Was that Rocky Blyer or Franco Harris?
I'm just reading the blurb, okay? And that's it for the NFL this week's scoreboard. 4 teams on by: the Washington football team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Seattle Seahawks, and our beloved Detroit Lions. And speaking of the Seahawks, real quick, Russell Wilson, who was on a 6 to 8 week, injury, they call it a 6 to 8 week injury.
Right.
Been out 3 weeks. Already been cleared to go back and play.
Yeah, I saw
3
that.
weeks.
I saw that.
My buddy, like I said, I have a buddy who is, as soon as he saw that injury, he knew exactly that tendon injury. He's an occupational therapist, so he knew. And he sent me a message after Russell Wilson got cleared, and he goes, "It is incredible at the amount, of, I won't say technology, but like the way our modern health, like not healthcare, because our healthcare system, that's a whole other podcast.
Right.
But I'm just saying, he was just flabbergasted at how quick a turnaround that was. Like, this injury should literally still keep him out. But the fact that he's been medically cleared just shows you some of the practices we have now that can speed up these timetables on these injuries. And like we saw that, remember the Adrian Peterson injury, which people thought that's like the biggest one, like he'd be out for a year, and he was back. I forget the exact timetable, but he was back way quicker than we all thought. There's been a lot of injuries like that in the NFL where you're like, oh yeah, they're gone this amount of time. That's what makes me think like maybe this Derrick Henry injury, he'll be back sooner than people think.
How long are they saying he's supposed to be out?
Derrick Henry? Oh, I thought they said 10 weeks to the end of the season, like something like that. So we'll see.
One note that I had was that there were at least 4 Super Bowl matchups that I
rematches.
Rematches this past week. There might have been 1 or 2 more. I'm not positive, but these are the ones that jumped out at me. The Packers and the Chiefs was a rematch of Super Bowl 1. The Cowboys and Broncos, that was a rematch of Super Bowl 12.
I can think of one you missed already.
The Rams and Titans was a rematch of Super Bowl 34, and the Patriots and Panthers, Super Bowl 38.
And the 5th one, the Jets Colts.
Oh, Super
Bowl 3.
Okay, I didn't catch that.
Hey, all fair. I just thought of it. I was like, wait, maybe there was one. I just was going back to look and make sure, and yet that was one of them.
I mean, you're going to have rematches every now and then,
right.
But to have 4 or 5 in one weekend.
5 in one weekend? Well, I mean, still. But yeah, just funny. It's just funny to think about. Because like with the Jets and Colts, we didn't think about that because like they're AFC teams now.
Right.
Back in the day, they played in Super Bowl 3. So there you go. 5 Super Bowl rematches this week. All right, moving on to the Canadian Football League, where it was Week 14 over there in Canada. On Friday night, we had the Hamilton Tiger Cats defeat the British Columbia Lions 26-18, where Hamilton clinched a playoff spot, meaning that there will be no crossover team this year. And our favorite thing in the world, the crossover.
If you're listening and you're not familiar with what a crossover is.
Yes, we have to do this every year, but explain.
They usually have at least three 3 teams from each division.
Yep.
But sometimes there are more teams in one division that are better than, like maybe you've
Especially
got
since
4
they're
teams
uneven.
with winning records, yes. And so they don't allow the team in the other division to go to the playoffs with a worse record, so they cross one over from the East to the West. And that way, they've got the best teams in the playoffs.
Right. That's because obviously the West has got 5 teams
Right.
in that division. The
Right.
East has only got 4. So a lot of times it's a West team
Right.
moving over to the East.
Right.
I can't say I've ever seen a East team go over to the West,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's impossible.
Yeah, they want the best teams in the playoffs, and that's how they do it. So they call it a crossover team.
Are you listening, NFL? No more of these 7-9 teams getting in the play. I'm just kidding. That's a different conversation for a different day.
Mm-hmm.
So, continuing on, Tiger Cats quarterback Jeremiah Masoli was 19 of 26 for 258 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Brandon Banks caught 6 passes for 75 yards and a touchdown of his own.
Mm-hmm.
For British Columbia, quarterback Michael Riley was 33 of 43 for 330 yards and no touchdowns. He also ran the ball 8 times for 34 yards, but got a touchdown via the ground. And then wide receiver Lucky Whitehead caught 9 passes for 98 yards in that one. And oh wait, we're not there yet. No. I thought of a Canadian thing we need to talk about, but it's not this game.
Yeah, Lucky Whitehead. We haven't talked about him much, but boy, the first couple of weeks he was really lighting up everything. Kick returns.
I feel like we've talked about him every so often.
He's been kind of quiet the last couple of weeks, but he had a good game this week. And one of the trends this week is that the losing quarterback you're going to see winds up having better stats than the winning quarterback, and that was true in this game where. Michael Riley had 330 yards, and Jeremiah Masoli only had 248, but Masoli gets the win.
Okay. Also, Friday night, the Saskatchewan Roughriders defeated the Edmonton Elks 19-17, a score reviled around these parts. If you know, you know. It was the last home game of the season for Edmonton. They ended their season winless at home.
Yeah, this was their last chance to get a win at home, and they just
no wins at home as the Elks, so that's a tough one.
It's too bad for
Saskatchewan
Edmonton.
Quarterback Cody Fajardo was 24 of 33 for 241 yards and a touchdown, while running the ball 5 times for an additional 44 yards. Kicker Brett Lawther connected on 4 field goals, the longest of which was 46 yards. Then on the Edmonton side, quarterback Taylor Cornelius was 21 of 35 for 322 yards and 2 touchdowns, while wide receiver Daniel Vandervoort caught 3 passes for 54 yards and 2 touchdowns. Did I say that name right?
I think so. Vandervoort, yeah.
Vandervoort?
V-O-O-R-T, Voort.
Vandervoort.
Yeah.
Is it German, Vandervoort?
I don't know.
Vandervoort.
Again, the losing quarterback had more yards than the winning quarterback in that game.
Vandervoort. I like Vandervoort. Toronto Argonauts. The Toronto Argonauts defeated the Ottawa Redblacks 23-20. The Argos were down 20-9 in this game, but they scored 14 unanswered points to secure the victory. Toronto quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson was 28 of 44 for 293 yards and a touchdown, but also threw 3 interceptions.
He obviously didn't hurt the team.
Well, it hurt him for a while. Running back A.J. Ouellette ran the ball 14 times for 107 yards, while wide receiver Curly Gittins caught 5 passes for 58 yards and a touchdown. And did I say that name right?
I
Curly?
believe so.
All right. You didn't do the thing where I say the name wrong. So.
Well, Curly Gittins, it's spelled really weird, but it's Curly just like, Curly, Moe, and Chum. Yeah. But that's how I pronounce it. But the other one, A.J. Ouellette, that's spelled really weird too, but I think that's how you pronounce it.
I was almost going to say omelet.
O-U-E-L-L-E-T-T-E.
Ouellette? Yeah.
We're going with Ouellette.
All right. Then kicker Boris Beatty connected on 5 field goals, the longest of which was 50 yards. Then on the Ottawa side of the ball, quarterback Delvin Hodges was making his first CFL start. He was 8 of 24. That's right, 8 of 24 for 90 yards and no touchdowns. Wide receiver Devontae Dedman returned the second half kickoff 100 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah, this poor Delvin Hodges guy, only 90 yards. This is one where he definitely was not better than the winning quarterback in yards this week. And that Devontae Dedman return was I saw the return and I didn't realize it was the opening kickoff of the second half when I was watching the highlights. But yeah, he takes it at the 10. And remember, the CFL field is 110 yards. So he gets it at the 10, and man, he just snaked his way through everybody. That was awesome.
All right, and then finally, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeated the Montreal Alouettes 31-21. For Winnipeg, it was their 9th straight win as they are undefeated at home.
Yeah, nobody's beaten Winnipeg this year.
At home, at
one
least.
team did.
Even with the loss, Montreal managed to clinch a playoff spot. So Winnipeg quarterback Zach Collaros then was 21 of 33 passing for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns, while wide receiver Kenny Lawler caught 7 passes for 111 yards. On the Montreal side of things, quarterback Trevor Harris made his first start for the team, as we mentioned. Or, whoop, that was the other quarterback.
Yeah, the other quarterback.
Trevor Harris made his first start for this team, for Montreal, that is.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
He was just acquired in a trade a few weeks ago. And he played some last week, but he started this week.
Yes, good to preface it with that. He was 14 of 25 for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns, while running back William Stanback ran the ball 16 times for 106 yards and surpassed the 1,000-yard rushing mark this season.
Congratulations to him.
Yes, that's a heck of a
one
mark
heck of
up
a
there.
running back up there. Yep.
Defensive lineman Jamal Davis recovered a fumble and returned it 19 yards for a touchdown for the Alouettes.
Yep.
Then on bye this week, the Calgary Stampeders, whose next game will be next week against the British Columbia Lions. And then also a fun little video was popping around the internet. We saw it was like a halftime show in Calgary or something where
the Frisbee dog?
The Frisbee dog caught the 109-yard Frisbee toss. That was incredible.
Well, that's a heck of a throw by that guy, too.
That dog was a moving. It was a pretty good video. But it was cool also to see the CFL field because, like, you've seen them doing at NFL fields or college stadiums.
Sure.
But to see it at a CFL stadium where you see the dog running and you see the 50-yard line, then the big old C, then the other 50-yard line, and the dog just keeps on booking it. It was awesome. And then he caught it at, like, the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
Almost 110 yards. He was just a yard short, but it was still really cool. Let's go over the standings real quick in the CFL. In the West, Winnipeg clinching that playoff spot, remember, at 11-1, followed by Saskatchewan, who also clinched the spot there at 8-4, followed by Calgary at 6-6, British Columbia at 4-8, and then Edmonton rounding out the West with a 2-9 record. Over in the East, Toronto clinching that playoff spot at 8-4, followed by Hamilton, who got their spot at 7-5, and Montreal clinching theirs at 6-6, and then Ottawa rounding out the East with a 2-11 record.
Yeah, the only thing left to be determined is
that third spot,
Calgary or British Columbia. They're going to take the last seat right now. Calgary's got the better record, but
and these two teams play each other. So if Calgary wins, I would say they're in.
Probably. So one more playoff spot to go.
Yeah, because I guess so they got 2 games left.
I believe so.
Yeah, so with British Columbia being 4-8, they pretty much need to win out and need Calgary to lose out.
Right.
So right now, Calgary's in the driver's seat. They just got to win one, and beating Calgary, I think, clinches it. So
could be.
All right, now we're gonna throw it over to Randy with the college scores from Week 10.
All right, we'll start with the top 4. This is so weird. Up until now, we've been talking about the top 4 from the Associated Press poll.
Right.
But now the playoff rankings are out, and that's what we should be talking about. But the playoff rankings don't come out until after we're done podcasting for this week. So we're still going to talk AP top 4 at least for now.
No. It shouldn't be the AP top 4.
Well, we don't know what the top 4 is going to be for the playoff rankings until after we're done.
That's fine, and we'll talk about it next week. But you know what? The AP poll as of now.
Well,
hold on. Stop. The AP poll is dead to me now. It is gone, dead and buried. It is irrelevant from this point forward.
Well, these numbers that I have here for the top 4, these are the playoff numbers from last week.
Yeah.
We just don't know what this
all
week's
the rankings. Yeah, we just don't know where they're going to end up.
Yes.
But as you all remember last week, we talked about how the rankings were coming in. So who came in this week in our top 4? Georgia was number 1. Alabama was at number 2. Michigan State at number 3, and then Oregon was your number 4 team in the college football playoff rankings. Mm-hmm. And then who was it? Number 5 was Ohio State. Yeah. Number 6 was Cincinnati, and there was a lot of hubbubaloo about that. Michigan was 7, and then we'll stop right there. I mean, that's all I can remember at the top of my head.
Yeah, these things are changing all the time, and
especially after we run through these scores.
Right.
So who knows where the playoff committee will go? And should I do my annual segment of Adam tries to guess what the committee is going to do and usually ends up being wrong?
Let's wait till a little closer to the end of the season before you get on that.
I have no clue. This committee is all over the map. I won't get into it. Let's get to the scores and get through these.
All right. Starting in the FBS, Week 10, top 4. Number 1, Georgia over Missouri, 43-6. It was number 2, Alabama over LSU, 20-14. Purdue upset number 3 Michigan State 40-29.
Who saw that
There's
coming?
the curse of number 3 again.
Yeah, we've been talking about this all
third
season.
or fourth time this year that the number 3 team has gone down as soon as they become the number 3 team in the country.
Yeah,
It's a
Michigan
bad spot
State,
for some reason.
man, oh man.
Yeah, doing a great job against Michigan 2 weeks ago, and then this week they lose to Purdue. So wow, that's
we'll see how far that drops them.
Yeah, and let's see. Number 4, Oregon over Washington, 26-16. There were seven upsets in the top 25 this week. North Carolina upset number 9 Wake Forest 58-55. TCU upset number 12 Baylor 30-13. Number 14 Texas A&M upset number 13 Auburn 20-3. Arkansas upset number 17 Mississippi State 31-28. Tennessee upset number 18 Kentucky 45-42. Illinois upset number 20 Minnesota 14-6, and Ball State upset number 23 Fresno State 40-14. In our blowouts and shutouts, it was number 15 BYU over Idaho State 59-14. Number 21 Wisconsin over Rutgers 52-3, and Utah defeated Stanford 52-7. In the military academy scores, it was number 10 Notre Dame over Navy 34-6. That drops Navy to a 2-6 record this year. And Army and Air Force played. I didn't realize this until last weekend, and it was Army over Air Force 21-14 in overtime. That increases Army's record to 5-3 and drops Air Force's record to 6-3. And let's see, in other scores this week, it was Houston over South Florida 60-42. That's 102 total points in that game. Last Wednesday night, it was Central Michigan defeating our Western Michigan Broncos 42-30. Yeah, I watched most of that game, and that was very, very disappointing.
Yeah.
This is the time of year where MAC teams play on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights, and they're always on national TV, usually either CBS Sports Net or ESPN2, something like that. So I'm getting to see the Broncos play, but man, it was really frustrating. Let's see, Western Michigan's record is now 5-4, and that matches Central Michigan's record at 5-4. Western Michigan was up 14-0 early, but Khalil Pimpleton. I'm sorry, I saw that. I thought George Plimpton. Khalil Pimpleton returned 2 punts for touchdowns and caught a pass for another. He's the first FBS player with 2 punt returns for touchdowns in a game. And then tonight, Western has another game. The Akron Zips are coming to town to take on Western, and that game is going to be on CBS Sports Network at 7 o'clock, a little less than an hour from now while we're recording this. And Western Michigan's remaining schedule, they have 3 games left on their schedule, and they're all Tuesday night games through November 23rd. So, yeah, if you want to watch Western Michigan, you better have your Tuesday night pajamas ready to sit by the TV. And
you look like you're ready to head out to the game there.
I've got my Western Michigan sweatshirt on.
Yeah.
I needed a new one, and bought one at the store, and it's getting cold, so I'll get a chance to wear this more and more.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at some lower-level college football spotlight scores. In the FCS level, it was Cornell over Penn, 15-12. That's an Ivy League matchup. In Division II, it was Bowie State over Elizabeth City State, 79-6. And there were also 2 other big blowouts in Division II. It was Kentucky State shutting out Central State of Ohio 63-0, and Albany State of Georgia shut out Fort Valley State 57-0. So a lot of shutouts and blowouts there in Division II. In Division III, it was Trine University down in Angola, Indiana, over Alma of Michigan, 37-23. In the NAIA, it was number 6 Kansas Wesleyan over Arkansas Baptist, 81-6. Wow. Junior college ranks, it was Snow College improving to 7-1 with a win over Lackawanna, 51-28. In another score in junior college football, it was Hines over East Mississippi, 42-41 in overtime. You may remember East Mississippi. They were the team that was featured on Last Chance U the first 2 seasons that show was on. U Sports up in Canada, St. Francis Xavier over Acadia, 13-7. And in Canadian Junior Football League, it was the St. Clair Fratmen over the Hamilton Hurricanes 49-14. And that is it for our rundown of scores throughout the world of football in the U.S. and Canada. All right, let's move on to some NFL news. There have been 3 complaints filed with the FCC over Eli Manning's double middle finger gesture on Monday Night Football back on September 27th. Unfortunately, the FCC has little control over cable TV networks, not like they do over broadcast networks. So you do something like that on broadcast networks, they will come down hard on you. But last year, the FCC received 1,312 complaints over the halftime show featuring Jennifer Lopez and Shakira.
Oh, dang.
I didn't hear about that, but I thought maybe a lot of people might be a little upset with the.
Oh, please! It's not like Janet Jackson's boob popped out.
I know. I didn't phone and complain, but
nor did I.
But I just knew that some people would.
Yeah,
it's not.
I'm surprised it was only 3, to be honest with you.
What, for Eli? Yeah,
for Eli,
it's just a few people had a problem with it, and I understand.
I bet you they're all Cowboys fans anyway. Either that or Patriots fans.
Well, I think when he was telling the story, it was against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's who it was. It was a little kid and his dad. They were up in the stands at a game with the Eagles, and they were the ones giving him. This little kid was giving Eli the double middle fingers, and his dad, and that's what he was doing. He was telling that story, retelling it, and so Peyton goes, "Well, do it. Let's see what he was doing." So he kind of egged him on, and Eli said something like, "Well, they can blur this out, can't they, on TV?" And so he did, but it was live TV, so they didn't.
And like we learned with Marshawn Lynch, that censor, that dude is just sleeping at the wheel.
Yeah, I haven't heard any complaints about Marshawn's appearance on there. But
I'm sure we'll hear about that in the coming weeks, because this is from September 27th. I mean, we're talking 2 months ago. It'll probably be a little bit before we get official. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of stuff about Marshawn.
but at least one of those complaints came from somebody in the state of Pennsylvania, so they were probably an Eagles fan who was a little upset.
I'm sure. That's why I was thinking maybe it was a Cowboy fan, but it could have been some Eagles fans too. It's probably the kid.
Yeah, no, well, it was probably the father of the kid
that
made the complaint. Who knows? But yeah, only 3 complaints, so it's nothing, and nothing's going to happen there. So keep up the good work, Eli. And, he and Peyton are probably the best thing that ESPN has done in a long time.
Oh yeah. They're gonna
on ESPN too.
If they don't have a contract for doing this for a couple more years, you bet your bottom dollar they're gonna dump a boatload of money on their front lawns.
Yep.
This has been a smash.
They're not going anywhere. Keep your complaints to yourself.
This idea was so ingenious, and it was a little wonky at first. And I think they, like you said, they were leaning a little too much into the jokes and the pre-planned bits. And once they finally got rid of some of those bits, like they do it every now and then. Peyton will do something,
right? But they got a few things.
They got it down almost where it's like every quarter they're going to interview somebody interesting, and they're going to watch the game with them, and it's just so much fun watching them watching the game with an interesting person, whether it be like Matthew Stafford they had on one time, or Tom Brady. I thought the Tom Brady one was incredible. I say what you will about Tom Brady, it was awesome hearing him talk. And then Marshawn Lynch is chef's kiss. It was chef's kiss. It was gold. It was made. They should put that segment in TV history forever. It was great.
Well, you saw they kind of cut him off there. He wasn't on very long. He wasn't there as long as some other guests were, and I think the language was
I don't know
a big part of it.
I don't know about that. I think they were going to the end of the quarter, and it was the end of the quarter, and that's usually when they shuffle their guests
sometimes
out.
they'll keep them there
for... only if they go into overtime. That's why they kept Russell Wilson around. Also, Russell Wilson, another good one that was on the Manning cast. But then a fun fact I saw somebody post is that, I don't know if it's all of them, and they could have been cherry picking this, but they said every person who appears on the Manning cast loses their game the next week. So in week 1 it was Gronk or whatever, and then I think Tampa lost week 2. I forget the exact, but it was like, I know Gronk was on there and they did lose the next week. Tom Brady was on there, they lost the next week. Matt Stafford was on there, Rams lost the next week. And there was a handful of other ones I can't remember at the top of my head. Marshawn Lynch didn't lose anything because, he's not on a team. So Marshawn's just out there being Marshawn. I love you, Marshawn.
But yes, their broadcasts on these Manning casts, or what do they call them, the enhanced cast or something.
They're just hashtag Manning cast.
Yeah, they have gotten better. And the last game I watched that they were on, I basically watched them the whole time because I really didn't care who was playing on Monday Night Football. So if you really don't care about who's playing in the game, then watch the Mannings, and you'll have a good time. If it's your team, of course, you want to hear the announcers,
Right.
and the Mannings are more of a distraction.
You want
If
to
it's
take it a
your
little
team,
more serious.
Right.
Not that Peyton and Eli don't take it serious, but it's just you want your typical broadcast.
Right. I'm there to be entertained, and I don't care who the teams are. I just want to hear.
Yeah, if it's
Eli
two teams
and
we could care less about, it's
Yep.
like, yeah, I'll just watch. I'll watch the game with Peyton. It's like I'm watching the game with Peyton and Eli, and maybe a third person. Like for a brief moment, I thought I was there with Marshawn, Eli, and Peyton watching a game, just the four of us. You were there, but you were like way in the back. I was ignoring you and hanging out with my friends.
Okay. All right, let's move on. There's actually some XFL news this week. and I
What?
thought
You mean the
that was-
XFL's not dead?
No. They have hired former Bills CEO Russ Brandon as their new league president. The league is looking to return in 2023. The XFL has also hired former Giants executive Mark Ross as executive vice president of football operations, and there were some other people that they hired this past week. Some of them had worked for the league a year or two ago, and they tried to make a comeback and got shut down for COVID. But
how about that? Dwayne the Rock Johnson, I follow him on Instagram, and he promoted the crap out of this. He showed all the people, I think the 8 or 10 people they just added to this staff or whatever. But that dude just works. I don't know how he does what he does. He's making movies, making TV shows, like starting up a football league, like working out every day, and then eating 30 pancakes, like a meal. This dude is incredible. This dude is insane.
and he's at that TV show, Young Rock.
Oh my God! Did I not just mention? And he does TV.
I don't know. I didn't. Well, you said TV, but you didn't say his show.
He had a couple shows. He was doing Ballers, and then he had the Young Rock. But he only appears in Young Rock for he did that in a day. He filmed all those episodes in one day. Just shuffle them around on a green screen. God.
I don't know about that. All right, moving on. We've got some CFL news. The 2020 and 2021 Canadian Football Hall of Fame classes will be inducted sometime in the spring. They wanted to do it in conjunction with the Grey Cup this year in Hamilton because that's where the Hall of Fame is at. But with COVID and everything, they wanted to give it some more time to allow the family members to be there to enjoy their relatives being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So they're going to do it sometime in the spring. They don't have a set date or anything yet. Just know that in the spring they're going to do that. The most notable person going in from these two classes is former Montreal Alouettes head coach Marv Levy, who you know as the Buffalo Bills head coach.
Oh, I thought Marv Levy was the guy who was the general or the captain on MASH. Didn't he take over after that one guy left? Am I thinking of the same guy?
That was Henry Morgan.
Oh, okay.
How can you get those mixed up?
I don't know, for the sake of a joke.
Stinking millennials.
Sake of a joke.
Marv Levy becomes the third person to be inducted into the Canadian and the NFL Hall of Fames. The other two are head coach Bud Grant and quarterback Warren Moon. Marv Levy was inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame back in 2001.
Okay.
So
I like how you blanked out with that
Well,
note. That note was staring me right in the face. I'm like, why are you blanking?
I know, but
it's right there.
I lost my
It's
place.
in your notes.
Yeah,
It's sitting there.
Yeah. Bud Grant,
I can see it.
Bud Grant was the head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, won a couple Grey Cups, and he went to the Vikings and took them to 3 or 4 Super Bowls and didn't win. But quarterback Warren Moon, you know his story. He won 5 straight Grey Cups up in Canada, came down to the States, and
Then he had to play for the Oilers.
Well, Oilers, Seahawks, Kansas City. He played for a couple different teams.
Minnesota.
But, yeah. So had a great career in both leagues. But yeah, so there are now 3 people in both Halls of Fame.
You know who's missing from that list?
Doug Flutie.
Yep. Like you're walking.
I will not rest until Doug Flutie's in the NFL Hall of Fame.
I mean,
Pro Football
don't get me
Hall of Fame.
wrong. I think Doug Flutie was a great, fun to watch NFL player. But I wouldn't.
I know. Hey, I can dream. Ken.
But hey,
he's in the College Football Hall of Fame.
But if you, we always debate about the Pro Football Hall of Fame should just really be renamed the NFL Hall of Fame. But as long as pro football is on there, Doug Flutie should be in there for his contributions to the USFL, the CFL. Come on now. I think more CFL stuff should be recognized by the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
They do have their own Hall of Fame.
Hold on. More bold underscored. Not just, I'm not saying just a display. Just put a display over there in the corner. Like the Arena Football League got a display over there in the corner. How the USFL's got a display right over there in the corner. I'm talking about a nice dedicated wing or something to the Canadian Football League. It's important.
Yes.
And I know
they've
got
got
their
the
own
USFL
Hall of Fame,
and they've
but-
got the AFL and other leagues that have come and gone over the years.
That's my biggest criticism with the Pro Football Hall of Fame is they emphasize the NFL, not all pro football. There's more than the NFL in terms of pro football.
I thought it was a bold move for them to induct Steve Sable and his dad.
I don't think that's bold at all. That's well deserved.
They're not players, but they got the same treatment as any
they
player
impacted,
or coach did.
They impacted.
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying.
Not just the NFL. They impacted just the idea of sports filmmaking, merging the two. It's incredible.
Yeah. So that was well deserved, but a lot of people thought that would never happen because they weren't a player or a coach or an owner. So why would they get recognized? Well, they did, and that was awesome that they did that. Okay, let's see. The college football top rankings in the AP at least this week.
Nope, not listening.
Georgia,
this
Cincinnati,
is
Alabama, and Oklahoma.
It's trash. It is dead to me. The AP poll is dead to me now that we have the college football playoff rankings. And those come out in, an hour from now?
About 40 minutes from now.
So if we talk long enough.
No. I know you can talk, but I don't want to talk that long. All right, and there are still 4 undefeated teams at the FBS level. That would be Georgia at 9-0. All these teams are 9-0, by the way. Cincinnati 9-0, Oklahoma, and
the Roadrunners.
The Roadrunners, the University of Texas San Antonio. So you got 3 that are in the top 4.
All 4 of those teams should be the top 4.
Yeah, UTSA I think is around number 15.
They should be in the top 4. You're undefeated, top 4.
Yeah.
Put them in there.
Okay, let's see. Eli's Place is on ESPN Plus. This was his last episode for season 1, and it was episode 10 this week, and it was called Big Manning on Campus, and it was he and his dad driving around Mississippi State where they both played, and it was the weekend that Eli got his number retired, and so his father had his number retired too, so they were there for that. So it was kind of a cool episode, seeing him going around the campus and seeing Eli's number get retired, which was just last week or week
a couple
before.
Weeks ago, yeah.
So that was very current.
Yeah,
very current. So it was a good episode, good way to end the season, and I hope that he comes back with another series next year. All right, Arena Football TV on YouTube.
You sound like you need to take a drink of water. Do I need to vamp?
No, I'm good. I'll push on a little more. Arena Football TV on YouTube, they have 979 subscribers right now. Only 21 subscribers to go to reach the 1,000 mark. If you have not gone to this site, looked at it, checked out some of these games, you don't even have to watch a whole game. Just watch the intro to some of these things and see some of the uniforms, and you might recognize some people. I recognize several in the one they had this week. Last week they hadn't posted a new one, but we knew what game it was going to be because it was debuting at 7:00 that night. So the game that debuted last week was from 2003. It was the Buffalo Destroyers at the Detroit Fury, and Mark Champion, who we know here in Michigan as University of Michigan radio announcer, who's retiring after this year, he was on the.
You sure you're not talking about Jim Brandstatter? Because Mark Champion was.
They were both Mark Champion and Jim Brandstatter. They were both the radio play-by-play.
But Mark Champion was never a Michigan broadcaster. That's Brandstatter because he used to be the Lions broadcaster, and then he moved over to just solo.
Go check out the video and see if I'm right or wrong. But anyway, Matt Shepard was on the sidelines.
Okay, yeah, Matt Shepard.
And we know him as a radio play-by-play voice of the Detroit Lions currently. And then Ron Selesky was the head coach of the Buffalo Destroyers, and we've known Ron Selesky because he was with the Cleveland Gladiators as an assistant coach of the year a few years ago when Cleveland went to the Arena Bowl. And so we've known Ron for a while. He was a coach in AF2. He was with the Louisville Fire for a while, I think. So seeing all these people that I've met or known and run across in my career of covering arena football games was pretty neat. So that was interesting to watch some of that. Okay, now we're going to move on to a couple of obituaries we had this week, and this is where we take a moment, catch our breath, get a drink of water, and honor those who have made the world of football a better place.
And I'll start so you can take that drink of water.
No, I want to do this one because this is I want to do this first one.
Oh my God.
Angelo Mosca.
Such a drama queen.
I switched these around just so I could do this first one. Angelo Mosca, who was an offensive and defensive tackle in the CFL for 15 years, dies at the age of 84. Mosca played college football at Wyoming and at Notre Dame. He signed with the Hamilton Tiger Cats in 1958 and played 2 seasons there. He then played for the Ottawa Rough Riders in 1960 and 61 before returning to Hamilton in 1962. However, he was traded by Hamilton to the Montreal Alouettes later in the 62 season, but he returned the following season to Hamilton and in 1963 and remained with the team through 1972. He won 4 Grey Cup titles with Hamilton in 63, 65, 67, and 72, and another one with Ottawa in 1960. Mosca was inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in 1987 and the Hamilton Sports Hall of Fame in Ontario in 2012. His number, after football, Mosca became a professional wrestler, which a lot of guys did back in those days. His number 68 was retired by the team in 2015. Mosca published his autobiography in 2011 called Tell Me to My Face, which I read, and I did a book report on that. That's on our website. He's also known for a 2011 viral video that showed him in a fight with former CFL quarterback Joe Kapp at a CFL reunion event.
I remember that.
The two old guys on the stage. He's walking with a cane, and he's got a flower trying to make up with Joe Kapp, and Joe Kapp was having none of it, or maybe it was the other way around. I don't remember, but yeah, these two guys, they went after each other. I think they fell off the stage and fell back, and people had to rush in and pick them up. Oh my gosh! But yes, I did read his autobiography. Very, very interesting. He's from Pennsylvania. He's not Canadian. He was from Pennsylvania, and became a big star in the CFL. So, Angelo Mosca.
Okay. Our second obituary is that of Tom Matt, a running back in the NFL.
Tom Matty. Didn't I tell you how to pronounce that earlier?
No, you didn't. It looks like Matt.
Yes, I did. It's Tom
like
Matty.
Matt. Tom Matty, a running back in the NFL for 12 seasons, has passed away at the age of 82. Matty played college football at Ohio State and was the 7th overall pick in the 1961 NFL draft by the Baltimore Colts. He was selected in the 5th round of the 1961 AFL draft by the New York Titans. Yeah. And that's very strange to me real quick that he was the 7th overall pick in the NFL, but he had to wait till the 5th round of the AFL draft.
Well, maybe they thought he wasn't going to sign with them, but somebody took a chance anyway.
All right, well, he played quarterback in college, but the Colts already had future Hall of Famer Johnny Unitas at quarterback, so Matty was switched to running back. However, he did fill in at quarterback for 3 games at the end of the 1965 season due to injuries to Unitas and backup quarterback Gary Kuzo, leading the team into the playoffs. Colts head coach Don Shula helped Matty out by designing a wristband with the plays written on it for him during the game. That wristband is now on display at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Matty played his entire 12-year career with the Colts from 1961 to 1972. He was a member of the Colts team that won Super Bowl V in 1971. Matty also worked as a color analyst for the Baltimore Ravens radio broadcasts from 1996 to 2005.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that he was the one that was at the forefront of all these quarterbacks nowadays that wear a wristband with all the plays on it.
Yeah.
He played quarterback, but it'd been a few years, and he didn't know what he was doing, so he got pressed into service, and that's what Shula came up with was, we'll put some of the plays on.
That's why Don Shula is one of the greatest coaches to ever live.
Yep, he's in the Hall of Fame too. So, yeah, I just thought that was an interesting aspect to his career. All right, today's birthdays. November 9th, linebacker David Allen Lloyd was born on this date in 1936. He passed away in 2014 at the age of 77. He played his college football at Texas Tech and at the University of Georgia. He was selected in the 4th round of the 1959 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns, and he played 12 seasons in the NFL. He was with the Browns from 59 to 61. He was with the Detroit Lions in 62, and he finished his career with the Philadelphia Eagles from 1963 to 1970. All right. Any updates on your phone that you want to talk about before we get into this week's history lesson?
Nothing that has popped up. So I think we should be good. We'll see what happens on the other side of your history lesson.
Okay. All right. This week's history lesson is about 2 teams and a car that all use the same logo. Horses are a popular mascot for football teams. There are Mustangs, Colts, Stallions, and Broncos. There's even a Boomer and a Sooner. But did a couple of football teams actually copy their horse logos after a car? You be the judge. In the early 1960s, the Ford Motor Company was designing a new sports car. A couple of different names were considered for the car, including the Cougar, the Allegro, the Torino, and the Avanti. Eventually, the company settled on the name that you all know today, the Ford Mustang. Designer Phil Clark came up with the original running horse logo for the car, which he carved out of wood. It would eventually be paired with a red, white, and blue horizontal stripe background, which is today iconic in the automotive world. The Mustang made its debut in 1964 at the World's Fair in New York, and it was an instant hit. Up in Canada, the Calgary Stampeders of the Canadian Football League were founded in 1945. They were named after the annual Calgary Stampede Rodeo that dates back to 1912. For many years, the team used a logo that featured a cowboy riding a bucking horse with a football in the background. But in 1967, the team debuted a white running horse logo on their red helmets. It bears an uncanny resemblance to the Ford Mustang logo. The Stampeders' helmet design is still used to this day, with some variations to the color of the helmet. Since 2003, the team has also had a touchdown horse at their games that runs down the sideline after every score. The horse's name is Quick Six. In 1966, Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas, featured a horse on their helmet that was rearing up on its hind legs. But in 1968, the team debuted a new running horse logo on their helmets. Other than the color of the helmet and the color of the logo, it is the same as the CFL Stampeders and the Ford Mustang logos. The SMU Mustangs currently play in the American Athletic Conference, and the team is still using the running horse logo today. Could it be that these two football teams borrowed their helmet design from the Ford Mustang? It appears so. However, I have never heard of any lawsuits by the car company to stop the teams from using the horse design. It is also unknown if either team pays Ford for the use of the logo. Both football teams have been using the design on their helmets for over 50 years. Perhaps the Ford Motor Company looks at it as free advertising. Each weekend during the summer and fall, millions of people watching football on TV in the U.S. and Canada see the familiar horse logo. And maybe, just maybe, they might remember that when they are thinking about buying their next car.
Yeah, I never would have mashed those three logos together.
Well, I knew that I used to own a Mustang, so I was familiar with the logo, but I never really put together that the Mustang logo was there before the Stampeders and SMU. I mean, I always knew the Stampeders and SMU had the same logo, and I never understood that. But then to realize that, yeah, they all got them from the Ford Mustang, was just blew my mind.
Yeah.
It was really weird. Okay, upcoming events calendar. November 20th is the end of the CFL's shortened 14-game regular season.
Only 11 days.
Yep. Also that day, two longtime college football rivalry games will take place. The 137th Harvard-Yale game, which I always like to watch on TV, and the 156th Lehigh-Lafayette game. Those games got canceled last year due to COVID, so it's the first time they've met in 2 years. November 27th, the 116th Michigan-Ohio State game in Ann Arbor. That game was also canceled last year because of their shortened 6-game season that they played. On December 11th, it's the 122nd Army-Navy game in Philadelphia. And the following day, December 12th, it is the 108th CFL Grey Cup game in Hamilton. And those Tiger Cats really want to be in that game.
And why aren't we at that game?
It's going to be cold that day.
So it'll be cold in any Canadian stadium besides the indoor stadium.
They have just opened up the borders again with Canada, but there's so many restrictions that, yeah, you can get in, but you got to have proof of a test within 2 days.
The next time they have a Grey Cup in British Columbia, we should go.
British Columbia?
Indoor stadium.
True.
In the middle of winter. We
True.
won't be freezing our tails off. Or tukuses, whatever you want to call them. Whatever they call them up in Canada. We should do it.
The boot?
The boots. Our boots. We won't be freezing our boots off. Or our boots. And I'm all about that.
Yeah, well, I would love to go to a Grey Cup game sometime.
Let's do a Grey Cup game. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Even if we got to wear parkas outdoors, I don't care. Let's go to a Grey Cup game.
Well,
check that off my bucket
we
list.
may be wearing parkas, but the people around us will be there in
shirtless, just with the letters on them,
and shorts. Yeah. All right. Nothing else?
Nope, nothing.
Okay. Well, then that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can like The World of Football on Facebook, or as long as it's called Facebook, at TWOF Kalamazoo.
As long as it's still out there.
Yeah, where we post a lot of unique stories, pictures, and highlights from all over the world of football. You can also find similar to more things over on our Twitter, which is at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted every single Tuesday, no matter if it's daylight savings time or not. The podcast is available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and you can find the full version on YouTube.
The audio version, yep.
Yes, the audio version. Our YouTube channel is The World of Football Kalamazoo, so please subscribe. Every subscriber counts, and we like getting your feedback over there. So rate, review, let us know what you think. Give us a like, whatever. Leave a comment. We always read those and try to respond to everybody. Let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
Once again, we're doing our weekly NFL picks this year, but this year, however, they are exclusively available on our YouTube channel. So look for them every Thursday throughout the NFL season.
That's right. We're going to get ready to record that here as soon as we're done turning off the mics for this show. We'll start up that show.
Yeah, the hits just keep on coming.
Yep.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody loves more football than we do. Join us again next week when we'll review all the happenings in and around the world of football. Until then, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'll be protesting outside of the government building to get daylight savings removed. This is a travesty, and the fact that it looks like it's midnight right now at 6:30 at night is a crime.
You're not wrong. All right, we'll see you all next week.